This weekend, the Sports Car Club of America returns to America's National Park of Speed, Road America. Across 2 grueling days of competition, 23 champions will be crowned in an event unique in motorsports. For over 400 drivers, a season's toil culminates in this single event with a chance to earn a coveted gold medal and the title of national champion in the 62nd edition of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs, presented by Sunoco. Opened in 1965, Road America has been challenging the world's best road racers ever since, and today it is the site of the 62nd annual SCCA National Championship Runoffs, presented by Sunoco. Live coverage presented by Mazda. Ryan Marine, Tom O'Gorman with you, and down in the pit lane is our own Hayward Wagner as we get ready for the National Championship race for E-Production. Hayward, what stories are you watching?
Well, guys, the story for this race is this gentleman right here, George Silverman, the president of ADCAS, which essentially is the FIA arm for the United States. George, you've seen pretty much everything there is to see in motorsports. The Indy 500, you've seen Formula One, Le Mans. The thing that brings this community together is passion. That's what we do here. How do you compare the passion at this race to what you've seen in other areas?
Well, you're going to have to give me a minute to catch my breath after that exciting B-Spec race we just saw. But I think that speaks for itself. We're going to see the same thing here in this upcoming race. It is about passion. It's about equipment, it's about your team, it's about the officials, but it's really about passion. Every driver in this race, like every other race this weekend, wants to win. When you ask to put it in comparison, this is one of the crown jewels in racing. You know, you think about people gathered from across this country in this one location. It's an amazing sight.
Thank you for being here, George. Thank you for being our Grand Marshal. A crown jewel indeed, and we're about to crown a champion here in E-Production.
Thanks so much, Hayward, and great to hear from George Silverman. Great to have him, first of all, as the Grand Marshal. Not his first time to the runoffs, but very important person in North American motorsports that maybe doesn't get the acclaim that he's due. But President of ADCAS has a huge responsibility for North American racing on a global scale. Let's talk about Road America, though, Tom. 14 turns, just over 4 miles around. In short, this place is a classic.
And what a cool track for E-Production, one of our staples. Starting off with long run, uphill, then downhill into turn 1, downhill into turn 3, and continuing down even further into turn 5. This is the top speed sector, kicking things off at Road America. Then the handling sector, turns 5 through 10. We have an uphill acceleration zone, a little sweep through turn 6, one of the trickiest corners on the track in the background there. Flat out through turn 7 in the hurry downs to turn 8 into the carousel. Drops even further, comes on camber through turn 10 itself, and then the kink. Do you dare go flat? No auxiliary aerodynamic devices in these production cars, just relying on mechanical grip and whatever they can smooth out with the bodywork. Then into the final sector, into Canada Corner, heavy braking zone, down a couple gears through the fast Bill Mitchell bend in the background there, end of turn 14. The uphill run to the checkered flag will determine this thing in 13 laps time.
It is an awesome class when you look at the diversity of cars, but I think one thing also that makes this a captivating race is the diversity and experience levels in this grid. On one hand, you've got Thomas Burt, you've got Steve Getchins, and Bryce McGuire. They're all runoffs rookies. They're going through this for the first time. But on the other hand, you have Mark Webber making his 70th runoff start. The veteran of all veterans in the SCCA runoffs. He's been through these emotions a time or two, but I suspect the butterflies still are there popping up.
Came through the booth to give us some custom wristbands this morning showing the date and the name, of course, with the 70 runoffs, but also it says 700 races here with the Sports Car Club of America. Fantastic to have Mark in this field as we get towards the green flag in E-Production.
Exactly so. One of several stories we'll be keeping tabs on throughout the course of the race. We'll step aside momentarily, but when we come back, the start of the E-Production National Championship race.
Okay, so pretend this is your race car. It's on the trailer, and you have an accident. Ouch! At least your truck's insurance will pay for another one? Yeah, not so fast. Standard insurance won't replace your race car, whether it's in the trailer, in the paddock, in the garage, or the repair shop. But at Hagerty, we can protect it for what it's really worth anytime it's off the track. No matter what or where you race, offer less than a set of race tires. Haggerty, let's drive together.
Choose joy. Choose the road. Choose your people. Choose your shot. Take it. Choose to get in there. Even better, get out there. That's it. Way out there. Choose your calling. Choose to really care. Choose to go for it. Just choose. We craft cars for those who choose to do more than simply move.
I wake up.
Shopping for tires used to really grind my gears. So many tires, and the thought of choosing the right one made me, Precisely. That's before I went to TireRack.com. I got the best deal hands down. My tires ship fast and free, arrive the next day like clockwork. Tire Rack even gave me 2 years of free road hazard protection. Precisely.
TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
Cars out on track, moments away from the start of the E-Production National Championship race here at the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Thanks so much for joining us. Great field of cars, great mix of equipment. Tom, talk us through, if you could, what you expect to see in E-Production.
I think there's a lot of words that can describe production races in general, but up there has to be unpredictable. These cars are properly strung out race cars. There's a lot of cool modifications under the bodywork, which they can also, of course, sleek out. You can see that. But in general, they're race motors, they're race tires on the production chassis of these cars. We have, I would say, 5 drivers in the hunt for this one, maybe even 6 or 7 when you look at qualifying times. But again, just anything can happen in these prod races, and they tend to.
Here's the starting grid for the 6th time in his Runoffs career. It's John Brackey from Milwaukee on pole. It's the Tire Rack Pole Award. John Hainsworth will start alongside. Tyler Ladd, Chris Haldeman in row 2. Then it's Peter Norton and Austin Bradshaw in row 3. Tim Schreier, Cameron Wogren make up row number 4. Anthony Parker and Bryce McGuire are in the 5th row. Then Doug Piner and John Bauckham, who won the Hawk Breakthrough Award, starts in the 12th position. Joe Carr and Thomas Burks from Petaluma, California and Fort Myers, Florida, respectively, start 13th and 14th, ahead of Whitfield Gregg and Don Tucker from Memphis, Tennessee. Kurt Frietschi from Mountain View, California, and Yuri Kayatzos from Homestead, Florida, start 17th and 18th. Steve Getchins and Mark Webber making that 70th start. He'll make start 71 later this weekend. And then Rich Olson was set to start in 21st, but as you can see, there's been a change evidently, and Whitfield Gregg has been put at the back of the pack, so he gives up his 15th qualifying position and will start tailwind Charlie. So he's got some work to do, and not a whole lot of time to do it. 13 laps, they go by quickly when your entire season has come down to one race.
And these are properly fast cars, under the 2-minute 30 mark here at Road America. John Brackey on pole with a 2:27.2. But the top 6 are within the same 2 seconds or so, then a little bit of a gap back to Tim Schreier and the rest. Also, our thoughts with Whit Gregg. He's had a little bit of an incident in qualifying, not able to make the start as his car was also damaged heavily in that, but hopefully watching this race and enjoying the weekend still. Also want to point out that beautiful green Anthony Parker machine. That's a 1970 Triumph GT6. He's picked up over 6 seconds from his performance, his best lap times last year's race, running towards the back. He's right in the middle of this one. That's some great improvement. Love to see that in club racing.
One other to keep an eye on, of course, is Tyler Ladd. Starts in 3rd. That's the defending E-Production national champion. But maybe more important is that car. That BMW, white and blue, car number 51, has won the last 5 consecutive SCCA runoffs with 3 different drivers, including Tyler 1 year ago. So that is a stout machine looking to keep its streak alive, and Tyler looking to start a streak of his own. Here's the field, side by side, approaching the acceleration zone. When they reach it, it's up to the pole sitter, John Brackey, to bring the field up to speed. When he starts to accelerate, the green flag will come out and we'll be underway. That's exactly what's gone down here as Brackey accelerates. The top two really do get going. Strong start from Hainsworth as well in second place. He'll take the lead, but it seemed like row 2 just didn't get going, Tom.
Yeah, what a strange start. And look at the legs on that RX-7. Hainsworth going to pick up the lead by 5 car lengths before they get to the apex. Tim Schreier with a big look down the inside of Austin Bradshaw through turn 1. But it's the BMW around the outside. Chris Haldeman also not getting off the line very well. That's the silver and black Mazda. We know that name is a past champion in Spec Miata, but not able to hold the point over Peter Norton as things have already gone unpredictable in E-Production. Side by side, still for 4th.
How about that from Hainsworth? What a great jump at the start of this race. It's a veteran driver in a car that's come close to winning national championships in the past, but hasn't done so. More on that story as we go. Ladd from the third position on the grid has taken second place away. So that BMW, which has flexed its muscle in this event the last 5 years in a row, back in strong contention, jumping up to second place.
That's Cameron Wogren that picked up a couple spots in the newer E36 BMW. Bradshaw and Schreier continuing to duke it out, but at the front, Hainsworth is checking out. And you mentioned Ladd. He won last year's race by over 30 seconds. It was a dominant performance as Haldeman now takes a look up the inside of Brackey and BMW versus Mazda. The top Mazda goes through on third. We know Haldeman's going to be a good racer. He comes from Spec Miata and a whole bunch of other good stuff, including Global MX-5 competition. He is looking racy early.
So much experience under his belt. Busy, of course, also running the X Factor team, which had a couple of cars racing in the B-Spec race that immediately preceded this one. But Chris focusing on his driving right now, and he's raced his way up another spot. Doesn't know this car in this spec terribly well, though, you were telling me.
Yeah, he's actually qualified for the runoffs using an MX-5 Cup car for most of the season. Picked this car up a little bit mid-season, I would say. Back to the racing for a moment. Peter Norton looking really racy on John Brackey, who looks to the inside of Haldeman now side by side through the apex. They're going to touch, scuff wheels. Haldeman gets run a little bit wide. Brackey really late on the brakes, picks up the third spot.
And Haldeman with his hand in the air. He was none too pleased with how that played out. And scuppers what had been a strong opening lap up to that point. He dropped a couple of positions as a consequence of that contact. Let's take a look at this again.
I think Haldeman might have been able to see this coming, but really expected Brackey to be perfect, and Brackey was not perfect enough to stay on the inside curb just there. They touch door handle to door handle as now Cameron Wogren continues his charge forward. That BMW E36 sedan coupe is lit up. He goes to third.
Yeah, remarkable start from 8th on the grid, already up to third for Wogren. He's coming under assault now from the pole sitter Brackey, but he's able to hang on to the spot with Norton in tow, taking a peek now to the inside. Yellow machine looking to the inside of the red BMW, but unable to take the spot into turn 3.
Looking at the timesheets for the grid, there was something in qualifying 1 that caused Cameron Wogren to lose his times in qualifying 2. Was not able to find out what that was exactly, but what that tells me is Wogren was not able to realize his full performance in qualifying and now is fully realizing it here in the race. At the top, Hainsworth continues to lead over Ladd, but now it's Wogren. Then side by side still for Brackey and Norton. That little Caterham 7 is really keeping it in the hunt, and this is the sector where it's going to be strongest. You wouldn't think that car particularly strong at an aerodynamic track like Road America with those long straightaways, but it's so good in this middle sector.
Just listening to the cacophony coming off of these very disparate power plants in the class. It's a great soundtrack to the E-Production race. Ainsworth's lead, 1.8 seconds, and he's just turned in the race's best first sector. So off on a pretty good tear here from second on the starting grid.
Brackey gets a moment to breathe in that red BMW and starts to pull away just slightly from Peter Norton. Lost what happened to Chris Haldeman, but he's all the way down in 8th at this point behind Anthony Parker as Tyler Ladd now sets his sights. The blue BMW chasing the RX-7, little tap of the brake pads to set them near the rotor before they get into this threshold braking zone for Canada Corner on lap 2.
And Ladd now getting into his rhythm. He did claw back a little bit of time in sector 2. Just a couple of tenths, but inching closer to the leader, John Hainsworth, who got his start in racing in an unconventional way. He was telling me his introduction to racing was actually racing RC cars and was very active in that field for quite a long time. then got the bug after getting invited out to the racetrack to watch a friend race. It's Tom Smith, who's actually here spotting for him. Oh, problems, one car off into the pit lane. Might be McGuire. I think it is, car 27. McGuire shown as in the pits. But Ainsworth now leading, looking for his first Runoffs title. Side-by-side fight here once again. Wogren and Brackey, these two have been side-by-side a couple of times here in the early stages, Tom.
Very different cars as far as looks go, but they're very similar underneath. In fact, pretty much running, I believe, basically the same driveline and a lot of the same suspension components. Brackey now up underneath the inside of the E36 coupe. And then the coupe's going to go for the move on the exit. Oh, wow, big defensive move from Brackey. Saw it coming. He knew that Wogren was going to get the run and protected it perfectly through the oil dry from a qualifying day earlier this week. And they're going to be side-by-side down into the braking zone, as well as Austin Bradshaw coming up the inside of Norton.
It's so interesting to see the relative strengths and weaknesses of the two platforms. It's allowed them to swap that position 3 or 4 times on this first half of this lap alone.
No anti-lock brakes here in E-Production. This is all right foot or left foot feel, and it looks like Brackey is way more confident on the brakes than anybody else really in this battle. But Wogren getting great exits. That BMW E36 seems strong in a straight line as well. These cars nearly eclipsing 140 miles an hour down the back straightaway into the speed traps at turn 5. Austin Bradshaw has picked up another position. A super fun character in the paddock here. Has had some good videos on the YouTube channel of SCCA as well, talking about racing this car. He's picked up the spot from Peter Norton, who's running the wide line around the outside, trying to get a good exit from the carousel.
It's a 1982 Mazda RX-7 carrying something approximate to the traditional Mazda racing colors, the light blue and white. Beautiful looking, but maybe more importantly, beautiful sounding car. Right now, though, under attack. As Norton tries to pull alongside once again. Mazda with too much power, though, in the run down to Canada Corner. Bradshaw's able to edge ahead just a little bit once again. Now starts to go on the attack. Brackey out wide, maybe with a problem.
I agree, a mechanical issue for Brackey. He's got no drive in that BMW after a fantastic start. Put his hand up to let the drivers know coming through behind not to follow him. And unfortunately, I think we're going to see this 89 car dive to the right and head to the pit lane, having only completed 3 laps.
That's heartbreaking for John, who, as you can see, is from nearby Milwaukee, Wisconsin, knows this track extremely well. Others in the class kind of highlighted him as a potential threat, as we saw in qualifying, because he has such track knowledge here. Earned that pole position. It was his 6th, but interestingly, his first since 2012. But unfortunately for John Brackey, it appears the day is done early with 10 laps still to go.
Gap at the front just ever so slightly closing. 0.7 of a second difference between the two last time through, with the advantage to Tyler Ladd, running a 229.2 to a 229.9 for Hainsworth. And as you mentioned, Hainsworth has just been a perennial front runner. He either podiums or breaks this car. Not to say it breaks that often, but those are his records right now as he continues to hold the point. But man, that gap has evaporated this lap.
Well,
Tyler Ladd is there.
To your point, John's quote to me was, "I want to be the fastest of those that finish."
Yeah.
So he knows that reliability in this class is a key component of the race. This is a car that was raced by Dave Lemon for many, many years and was in contention for national championships, but has never done it. And John desperately would like to deliver a title for this car, for Dave and for all those that have helped him, including Big Al Phillips and Turf Trade, his sponsor that's come on board and really made this program possible.
Hainsworth on the throttle so early at turn 8, trying to get the rotary up and spinning through the carousel. Tyler Ladd with the big block, the 2.5 liter BMW motor in the front of that car. Had a little bit of an accident earlier this year at our Super Tour at Hallett Motor Speedway, or Hallett Motor Racing Circuit, got the car repaired. And again, looks like he didn't fully realize the potential of that car in qualifying, but is certainly in the fight now as he's brought that thing back to the back bumper of the number 89, or sorry, the number 95. Hainsworth continuing to lead, but the best sectors of the race going to Ladd across this sector so far, purple in all of them.
It does seem like that BMW has the strength, but Although he's caught that car, now he's got to find a way by. That's going to be the new challenge. And again, very different strengths and weaknesses across the two platforms that he's got about 9 laps to try and come to grips with and figure out the best way to get by. Lap times this time, Hainsworth at a 2:29.5. It was a 2:28.7 for Ladd, who has a head of steam built up. He'll pull alongside Hainsworth now down to turn 1, super late on the brakes, and he makes the outside line work. So how about it? Ladd, the defending champion, trying to go back-to-back.
Beautifully held around the outside there as well, really deep on the brakes into 1, and now the job for Hainsworth shifts from defense to offense. He's going to try to hold that position just close enough to the middle sector where it looks like the RX-7's a little bit stronger.
Mentioned that car has won 5 straight national titles. Greg Ira, Jesse Prather, the other 2 drivers to pilot that machine over the past 5 runoffs appearances. And then Tyler Ladd last year scored the victory. Dropping back a little bit once again, keeping tabs on Bradshaw, who now runs a relatively lonely 3rd place. Just did his best lap of the race at a 2:31.5. So that's a couple seconds off of the pace-setting speeds from Ladd and Hainsworth, but enough to pull a gap over Norton, who's now up to 4th. Wogren, after that great start, has dropped a couple of spots, and now misfortune for Piner, who's in the pit lane.
Yeah, had some mechanical issues with this car throughout the week. It looks like they're going to continue as he pulls the green machine from North Carolina down back to the paddock. This is a fantastic run for Austin Bradshaw, starting 6th, running 3rd as Cam Wogren in the E36 continues to yo-yo. He's back down to 5th last time through, into the clutches of Tim Schreier. That's a fun story we get to tell almost every year. This was his college car. He delivered pizzas in it, and now it's his race car. Many years later, at least 10 or 15 at least, battling for the top 5 in the runoffs. And then in the background is that cool Triumph that I mentioned at the beginning, the GT6. That thing looks absolutely like a handful. That thing's been loose every time we see it on camera for Anthony Parker, but he's doing a good job controlling it, and it looks like the pace of that car is pretty good over the long run, and listen to how good it sounds.
Yeah, it's getting better and better, isn't it? 2:31.6 the last time by. Let's listen.
Look at that thing go every time. He is putting on a show, if nothing else. And you can see even on the brakes, just hunting everywhere. The steering wheel in that cockpit is massive with the red gloves, just flicking ever so slightly, asking questions constantly. What am I going to get? Whoa, big slides, but he's wheeling it.
Wow. Thanks for wearing those red gloves. Gives us a great look inside the cockpit. Lets us know just how busy he is. One more look down to the Canada corner. Look how sideways this car is.
Almost a Scandinavian flick, just pitches the weight in there, but he knows he doesn't have enough power to lift. He just keeps his foot in it, keeps the momentum rolling. So entertaining, running in the 7th spot.
Made the tow from New Ipswich, New Hampshire, Anthony Parker. 4th runoffs appearance. Best result, 13th. Would have a chance to improve upon that as things run, but he'll have earned it. I think it's safe to say. That car looks recalcitrant.
I'm going to need a definition on that one, Ryan.
Unwilling to cooperate.
Yes, unwilling to cooperate, but he's making it work. Taking a look a little further back in the field as drivers continue to complete lap number 5. The number 12 of Carr chasing down, I think that was the 0, number RX-8. With, I think, is that the car that has the X-Wing fighter livery on it that I caught in paddock a bit earlier? Joe Carr from California in the number 12. Beautiful looking MX-5. These cars running in E-production with the 1.8 liter motor from the NB era, the late 90s.
A couple of top 5s on his runoff CV. Most recently at VIR a couple of years ago. And we mentioned Mark Webber appropriately running the number 70. This is his 70th runoffs start. Just incredible.
With the extra 0 tacked on there for a reminder of 700 races completed for this driver. He typically runs at least two classes per year to get that number as high as he is. No, he's not 160 years old. He is pretty young and spry, in fact, for 70 runoff starts.
72 years young.
Yeah, exactly.
Safe to say.
Tyler Ladd continues to lead the way, but it's only 0.8 of a second at the line. completing lap number 5, starting lap number 6. We're coming up on halfway of this 13-lap challenge. And then it's a bit of a chasm, 12 seconds, back to Austin Bradshaw, who still has his mirrors full of Norton, Wogren, and Schreier.
To put a cap on the Mark Webber story, he's not done after this race. He's also racing in F production, so hopefully he'll be making start number 71 a little bit later on. But that's what this event is all about, as we said at the top. Some people, this is the culmination of life's work. For some, it's a jumping off point, but for everyone, it's incredibly special to qualify and get to race at the SCCA National Championship Runoffs.
Here's the battle for the bronze. Peter Norton in the yellow Caterham 7 America. That car is listed from the year 2000, but I think it was developed back in the 1950s, or at least the original concept for it. Trying to keep the pressure on Austin Bradshaw in the 1982 Mazda RX-7. These cars started 5th and 6th respectively, now running 3rd and 4th. With Wogren continuing to keep pressure on in the BMW. Schreier's dropped off just ever so slightly. And now we get into the part of the race that is, you know, there's the mechanical sympathy of everything. There's the hope that nothing goes wrong. There's the ebb and flow of tire wear. These cars running proper race slicks with multiple compounds available. Perhaps someone's chosen harder compounds to go for a longer run. Softer compounds will burn off faster. There's a lot going on in a production car race and a lot in the cockpit as well. No driver aids. All of these cars manual shift. Probably running mostly 5 speeds, maybe 4 speeds as we get a little further back into those older cars. Wogren continuing to circulate in this beautiful BMW, one of the newer cars in the field, also running one of the bigger wheel packages. That's going to be good for long runs.
And just getting stronger as the race progresses. Bradshaw, Norton, and Wogren, all 3 of them have done their best laps. The most recent lap, I think they're encountering car that's in strife here.
Yeah, Steve Gaetjens looks like either getting lapped and being very courteous or suffering some mechanical issues. It's a beautiful wrap on that RX-7 that has fallen well off the pace. Looks like mechanical issues continue as he's pulled very awarely offline. Nice performance there.
Yeah, that was a point of emphasis in the driver's briefing that was distributed coming into the weekend. Recognize what this event means for all of your competitors as well as for yourself. If you have an issue, behave responsibly and let us have as many green flag laps as possible. It's the message that race director Steve Pence conveyed. Thanks to Steve now for 3 years in that role, moving on to a different role in the future. That took on or sort of revitalized that role to some degree this year, relocated where his headquarters are to be in the heart of the paddock to make himself more open for teams and drivers to come and have a dialogue throughout the course of the week. I think that's been well received.
Well, that's commitment for sure. We continue to watch this battle for 3rd. The ebb and flow is really cool. The acceleration rate of the Caterham is going to be much quicker. It's very good off the corner. Going to hit its arrow wall much faster though. The time last time through the traps, 130 for the Caterham, 135 for the RX-7, but you can guarantee the little Caterham is getting there quicker, then hits that arrow wall right about now. You can almost see the gap grow towards the end of the long straightaway, breaking about the 3 marker from 135 miles an hour. Austin Bradshaw wiggles the hips on the brakes ever so slightly, picks the throttle up early. The driver's being pretty careful not to abuse the curbs. They can absolutely break suspension components and things of that ilk. Very, very, very aware of the track limits there, and I think that's smart. These drivers are aware of what they're working with as we approach halfway. Just cleared halfway, in fact.
This is the sector of the track that should suit the Caterham, is it not? Right through the middle?
Absolutely. This is where Road America doesn't get enough credit. This is the handling section, this middle sector, these short chutes, especially for a little light car like that. We've even seen cars similar to this one on pole at Road America. They can become the car to beat. As long as you hold the position down those long straightaways, Bradshaw floating through the exit of the carousel. Look at how cool that looks. I love when you see cars that are handling well with no aerodynamics. You really get to see how they work with all mechanical grip. Norton closed up, as you mentioned. This is the sector it's strong. He continues to look to the right, lap after lap after lap.
It's alongside at the exit of the kink, but now the Mazda starts to stretch its legs. That said, the Caterham still alongside and able to hang on to that spot. So put Norton up into the bronze medal position as they run. Now, though, he's got to build that gap because the track starts to come back around to the Mazda here in just a couple of corners.
No doubt, and I have to wonder also if the light weight of that car is going to be better over the longer run. As fun as it was to watch Bradshaw floating, perhaps some tire wear already starting to kick in on the slicks bolted to that RX-7. Reminder at the front, Ladd continues to lead the way over Hainsworth. The gap only 1.5 seconds, but no big changes.
Yeah, the two of them basically matching one another 10th for 10th as Bradshaw comes back on the counterattack. There's the power in the rotary power plant to the inside of the Caterham and back up to third. Interestingly, though, at the line, it was Norton that had the position. So if they continue this way for the next 5 laps, Caterham would have enough legs to hang on for that podium spot.
In theory, at least that lap, and we've been reminded it's properly Caterham. Unfortunately, my American accent, that just sounds tacky. I have to say it the way I'm meant to say it from Ohio here. But this battle is way too good to look away from. Continuing to circulate, only halfway through on the times, but working lap number 9.
I'm your neighbor to the west from Indiana. There's no hope for a Hoosier either, so bear with us, folks. Mazda back to third. Thornton drops to fourth, but closes back in again. They'll be tired of this particular two-step by the time it's all said and done. Getting some traffic here for the leaders to contend with. I mentioned just how tight it was between the top two, matching each other 10th for 10th over the last few laps. In fact, they were within a 10th of one another, 66 thousandths of a second comparing their lap times. Ladd and actually Hainsworth was just that margin slightly quicker on the previous lap, keeping the BMW honest. But you wonder if Ladd is perhaps running to a pace here, making sure he's looking after that BMW, looking after the reliability.
These could be some of the most stressful races where you're essentially putting in qualifying laps every single lap. Oh, big mechanical failure for the number 181. I don't know if that's engine or transmission, perhaps rear end. Loses it into the kink, hopefully no fluid down. Right as we cut to that car.
Wow, Wogren had a top 5 run going. Pulls to the side of the road. Looks like that car will take no further part. Hopefully, it's deemed to be in a safe enough position.
I'm not optimistic about that, Ryan. Unfortunately, the only place that you can't disappear at Road America is that tunnel between the concrete walls between the kink and Canada corner. We'll lean forward and hope this thing stays green. That's actually going to promote Anthony Parker here in the GT6 Triumph up into the 6th position, I believe, as Wogren falls out of 5th.
This would be a career best for Parker, and there it is. You were spot on, Tom. Full course yellow is out, coming around to complete another lap. There'll be 3 to go when they come to take that full course yellow, I believe. Or have they already seen it? And maybe they have. Anyway, we'll bunch this field up once again. Not sure we've seen a whole lot out of the rest of the pack to think that there's anyone to challenge these top 2, but you just don't know on a restart. And it certainly reshuffles the deck between Ladd and Hainsworth here. Hainsworth was so good, recall, in that original start of the race.
Does give Ladd a shot at retrying that green flag. If we get back to green flag running, we'll knock on wood and hope that the decision from powers that be at SCCA is we will definitely do, if the opportunity presents, we will definitely do a green-white checker, but we will not do a green checker. So if we go back to green flag, we will get 2 laps of racing. There's 4 to go. Luckily, I hope that car, at least in the kink, is a quick flat toe.
Yeah, you would think that would be. The only question is, was there any fluid left trailing behind that car that could necessitate a lengthier cleanup? But the track crew is already on the spot, and will try and attend to Cameron Wogren, who's making just his 2nd Runoffs appearance. The last one was right here at Road America in 2020. Finished 6th that year, but won't see the checkered flag today. While we're behind the pace car, let's take a quick timeout. Back with the run to the checkered flag here in E-Production after these messages.
Do you want to get started autocrossing, but you're looking around and thinking, man, I gotta buy a new car? Maybe not. Say you want to get into track days, but you're looking around and thinking, I gotta spend a fortune on Go Fast parts. Maybe not. Maybe you want to get into time trials, but you're looking around and thinking, man, I gotta buy a new truck and trailer for this. Maybe not. With SCCA Club Spec, you just might have the car you need already, and it just might look like one of these two. S197 Mustang if you like V8s and torque, NC Miata if you like compact and agile. SCCA Club Spec, spirited dailies, competitive race cars. Learn more at SCCA.com.
Back at Road America, America's National Park of Speed. Just a handful of laps remaining here in the E-Production National Championship race. Ryan Marine, Tom O'Gorman, and Hayward Wagner with you. Thanks so much for joining us. Just a few laps remaining right now behind the safety car. Issues for Cameron Wogren have necessitated the full course yellow. That car's being attended to at the moment, and we hope that we're due for a restart imminently. At the front of the field, though, it is Ladd, Tyler Ladd from the Wichita region, going for back-to-back national championships. Started third, took his time working his way up around the leader at the time, Hainsworth. Did so a few laps ago and built a lead of about 1.5 seconds before that was neutralized by the safety car. And the reason for the safety car? A big puff of smoke from Wogren, who was having a really strong run at the time.
Tough to say exactly from the visuals here. As the cockpit fills with smoke, it tells me something in the front of that car let go. But all the smoke coming out of the left rear, as Cameron Wogren, very lucky to both have full control of the car as that happens, be able to come to a nice controlled stop. And it doesn't appear that anybody had any surface issues. Now the good news as well, we're working lap number 11, which gives us 2 laps to play if we go green next time by. The SCCA is happy with that. And also, still 12.5 minutes on the clock, so the opportunity for a resume is high. No guarantees, but the other interesting part is that the car shown in the 3rd position on track is lapped traffic, so a little bit of a buffer between the top 2 of Ladd and Hainsworth, and then your 3rd place runner, Austin Bradshaw in the 41, who's charged from 6th up to 3rd, has been having a heck of a battle with Peter Norton in the yellow Caterham 7. And in fact, Anthony Parker, I think the chat's favorite driver for sure, as everyone's watching this car slide and drive. He's getting a lot of new fans all the way up to 5th.
Yeah.
Reminder, this driver's dropped 6 seconds or more on personal best lap times from last year's runoff to this year's runoffs, has moved himself from essentially the back of the pack to in the top 5 of this race. What a good story.
Parker started 9th, as you say, running 5th at the moment. It would be a first career runoffs top 5 if he was able to hang on. Previous best result was 13th. That's a really strong showing, and perhaps more importantly, a very entertaining showing, earning legions of fans here trackside and those watching around the world for the harem-scarum style with which he's been driving that car. It's a little bit more steady at the front, I think it's safe to say. Tyler Ladd doesn't seem to have to work quite so hard. Same for Hainsworth in 2nd place, but I'm really curious on this battle for the final step of the podium, as we figure it's likely to be Norton and Bradshaw swapping that spot back and forth, showing that although the cars in this class can be wildly disparate, the pace can end up being roughly the same, and it can lead to a really captivating race.
Just behind all those cars we've mentioned, we've John Bauckham, in the Fiat. That's a 1979 Fiat 124 Spider. Doing a great job running in the 7th position now as things have sorted out. And then the 0 car, that's Thomas Burt. It is a Mazda RX-8. He's listed as entered in a 1986 RX-7, but that's a much newer car, obviously, behind the wheel of the number 0 with an X-Wing fighter livery on it. The back of that car, maybe from camera, doesn't read, but it's basically the back of a jet fighter spaceship. wrap on that car.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. One of several really neat liveries. That's one of the fun things about coming to this event. There's so many cars, first of all. Just plenty of eye candy, and then what everyone does to personalize their car. Yeah, some of them really hit it out of the park, and that's definitely one that gets your attention.
I think the most common piece of a livery is "Thank you, workers," listed on the back bumper as they drive past. Flaggers and the rest of the SCCA operations keeping this thing moving, as well as the Road America team and safety crews. Have to wait, as everyone else does, to see whether or not the kink is clear this time by working lap number 11.
You're exactly right. Can't do it without all of the volunteers around the track and in administrative roles as well, and tech, etc., that make an event like this possible. There's so many ways to get involved in the SCCA. Our X-Wing, I like it. That's good stuff. Does look like, well, maybe I spoke too soon. There still is a safety vehicle there. Tow truck is still there. And it is worth reiterating your point from earlier. It's been made clear that there will not be any one-lap shootouts. They will restart races if they can. And there is a provision, if there's time allowed, I believe, to extend a race in order to get a restart, to fulfill that 2-lap requirement. But we'll just have to see how race control elects to play this one.
Anthony Parker continuing to show us the side of that car on full course yellow even, and the fact that there's a rollback over in the kink tells me that something in the driveline of that BMW locked up when it came to a stop, so it wasn't able to roll and flat tow, unfortunately, and that's the delay here being extended. And again, we mentioned when it happened, there's nowhere to go, only at that spot in this track. The good news is the car is now on the rollback and clear.
Okay. Unfortunately, it wasn't in time to get the safety car off on this lap, so we'll have at least one more safety car lap here. 8 minutes to go. I don't know that that provision for extending things would be in play, because we're running laps behind the safety car right around 5 minutes. 2 to go, so I'm afraid, as I understand the regulations, it's looking increasingly unlikely that this race will restart. I hope to be proven wrong. It certainly wouldn't be the first time. What a streak, though. It would be, not just for Tyler Ladd, back-to-back. That would be an accomplishment in and of itself, and he would actually join John Bauckham and Anthony Parker, John Brackey, in this field as multi-time Runoffs national champions. But for that car to win 6 in a row, that has to be some rarefied air, I have to believe.
I agree.
For any car.
Especially with multiple drivers, and this being just a once-a-year event. It's not like the same car can win the championship by finishing second, third, fourth a bunch of times consistently. You have to deliver on this day. And Tyler Ladd, after delivering a third-place qualifying effort, a little bit out of a second out of the top spot, found what he needed for this race, brought it back to the front. John Hainsworth, to his credit, was holding him super honest for the first, basically up to that yellow flag after the pass happened. So you have to wonder if there was a little bit of management happening. I don't know that you really manage too much in e-production, because you know this kind of thing can happen.
It will be John's 5th medal at the Runoffs. It will be his 2nd runner-up result if we don't get this race resumed, and assuming nothing untoward happens behind the safety car, but still looking for that first win. I know he was desperate to get that breakthrough, thought it could be a possibility here this weekend, and I'm sure we'll take some solace in having another strong run into medal contention. It would mean 5 of his 10 Runoffs appearances he's finished inside the top 3, but boy, when you're still looking for that first win, it's a bitter pill to swallow.
It's a record a lot of people would be envious of, but then when you're in that reality, it feels different. As we take a look at Mark Webber, we mentioned just behind Don Tucker out of Tennessee in that number 9. Another one of the Miatas running in this race. This car's running in 11th and 12th, just outside of the top 10.
Tucker does have top 5 results on the resume, 5 times inside the top 10 in 13 previous, make that 18 19 previous appearances. Now I can take that back. I was reading the wrong line of the spreadsheet. So 2 previous top 10s, just outside of that right now. A frustrating way for the race to come to an end, though, Tom, unless Tyler Ladd, who I'm sure is enjoying every minute of this.
Well, there's absolutely being in the right place at the right time, and he earned it. It's not like he lucked into this one the way that others perhaps sometimes land. I think the other driver that may be a little bit disappointed, or, well, let's say first, the person who's at peace with this opportunity is Austin Bradshaw, who's happened to be in the 3rd position when this came out, having that great battle with Peter Norton, who will be the one that's maybe slightly frustrated with the lack of opportunity to battle for the bronze.
I am too. I think that was going to be a fascinating duel, just because the cars are so different. And just to watch that Caterham close up in the middle sector and actually close enough to take that position away down in Canada Quarter, as we saw a couple laps ago, only then for the Mazda to power by down the straightaway. But there is the checkered flag for Tyler Ladd, who has gone back-to-back in E-Production. His car has now won 6 straight in the class. Hainsworth, a fighting 2nd place after leading from the get-go. And Bradshaw takes home the final step of the podium. How about it, though? Tyler Ladd, a back-to-back Runoffs national champion.
Back-to-back and batting 100 here in E-Production. 2 for 2. Does the BMW driver go? And 2nd spot, as you mentioned, Hainsworth, Norton, Bradshaw in the 3rd position for, I believe, the 2nd year in a row. We'll be happy with another backup podium. We'll shout out again to the crowd favorite, Anthony Parker. Not only a massive, huge personal growth year to year, but running into the top 5 with that Triumph GT6. Hand out the window, waving to the workers. I'm sure it's the workers' favorite, cheering for himself as he deserves to be. Fist pumping out the window in the Triumph.
Pretty cool. It's the oldest car in the field by a pretty hefty margin. John Bockham in the 1979 Fiat we were talking about earlier. I think those are the only 2 cars with provenance that dates back to the 70s in this field. Caterham, interestingly, is the 2nd newest car, I guess. Whitfield Gregg's MX-5 is the newest. And I take that back. Rich Olson actually has the oldest car, doesn't he? 1959 Austin Healey 3000. But only in the Runoffs can you get a car built in the year 2000 racing in the same class as a car built in 1959. Gotta love it.
No kidding. And that's that yellow car that we see 3rd in line. He is 1 lap down just to the top 2. That Austin Healey from 1959. Bradshaw waving to the workers as well as they work their way back to the Victory Circle celebrations for E-Production. They did put on a heck of a show, I gotta say, before this came out. It may be disappointing to end in any circumstance like this, but so fun to watch E-Production.
Yeah, definitely. Love the mix of cars. Love the soundtrack, maybe most of all. And it was a really captivating race up until the full course yellow that brought a premature end to this one. Unofficial results in E-Production: Tyler Ladd, a back-to-back national champion in the class, just ahead of John Hainsworth. Austin Bradshaw completes the podium. Norton and Parker 4th and 5th, ahead of Schreier, Bockham, Burt, Carr, Frici in 10th place. Tucker Weber in his 70th start. Piazzos, Olsen, and Getchens complete the top 15.
Kurt Frici up from 17th to finish 10th. That's a great performance as well. And oh no, production continues to wreak a bit of havoc as heavy smoke out of the back of that RX-7. Driver doesn't seem too concerned. Hands still out the window, waving to the workers, but something in the left side of that car has failed, and unfortunately leaving a pretty good stream of fluid behind it as well.
It's Yuri Piazzos from Florida. This race ended not a lap too soon for him, but boy, I'm afraid that could lead to a bit of a cleanup here ahead of the next race of the day. It is a busy day with the schedule condensed to just 2 Haggerty race days here in 2025. 9 races on day 1, 9 races on day 2, 23 combined national champions to be crowned, and Tyler Ladd is the second to clinch a title following the B-Spec race earlier this morning. Well, great result from third on the grid. Got to second quickly, then stalked Hainsworth, tracked him down, and made the move. A daring outside pass in turn one. So he certainly earned this one. And now, for the second straight year, we'll have the privilege of wearing the gold medal, which means also a chance to talk to Hayward Wagner, who we'll go to in just a moment. He's got new gloves, evidently, a little bit tight, hard to get off, but off pops the gloves, off pops the helmet, and now a chance to hear from a two-time national champion.
Tyler, when you saw the full course yellow come out, did you think that had sealed your second national championship?
No, I was thinking that just brought Hainsworth closer. I thought we were going to go back green. I'm like, oh man, he's going to be on me, because he kept me honest again that whole race. I was all over the place, sliding about, trying to keep it ahead.
Now, it looked like was it your dad that came over and congratulated you? Getting the Hoosier neckwear on. How does it feel to come in a national championship second time and get that kind of a greeting from your dad?
I can't believe it. I was bummed all week because I couldn't get down to the times I had last year. It just floundered and floundered. I didn't think it was there. And then just take a breath and go.
Well, you found something in the race when it counted. You've got the gold. Congratulations. Enjoy your victory lap.
Thank you.
Well said by Hayward. It was there when he needed it to be, turned it on, and made the pass. Just a handful of laps before the full course yellow that neutralized the race came out. Hainsworth out of his car, another second place, another hard-fought medal result for him. And we have a chance to hear from him now with Hayward.
John, typically the two happy guys on the podiums have the bronze, or the gold and the silver, or the bronze. Happy to win, happy to make the podium. Sometimes silver's the hardest one to take. How's this one feel?
You know what? After the last 2 years, silver feels pretty good. You know, we were running the same position last 2 years. It didn't quite work out on the last lap. You really can't screw up a caution lap, so it saved me from that. You know, Tyler drove a great race. I got the start I wanted. I was running my pace, and he's just running me down, and I couldn't hold him, you know, behind me going down the front straightaway. And after that, you know, I was trying to put pressure on him. But the longer my car stays close behind him, the more I slow down, and I back off a little bit. I get a little faster, catch him, and then...
Well, it was a heck of a race. You guys put on a great show. I'm sorry to see it end under caution. We would have loved to see it go the distance. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And then we got one more, Austin Bradshaw here. Austin, is this your third runoffs?
I think it's four.
And first podium or?
Second podium.
Second podium. How does it feel to be back here with the bronze?
It feels amazing. We had a lot better competition this season. Real tough EP field. So great to be out there with so many E-Production old school race cars. So to be back on the podium is a huge accomplishment for us, because last year less competition, this year more competition. We got it back on the podium with the bronze. More proud of this one, honestly, than last year. And yeah, it just feels amazing. Can't thank so many people at home, so many people here at the track, all my family that pours their effort and soul into this with me. It cost me obviously a ton of money, but I'm grateful for their help wrenching on the car. Got so many people to thank, from Go Sunoco Race Fuels to Goodyear Race Tires, of course, for the best tires, Cobalt Racing brake pads, and Techno Toy Tuning. All the people at home, my grandparents, relatives at home, love you guys so much, and big thanks to everybody here at the track to help and support me.
Well, it might be the amateur national championships. That, sir, was a professional interview. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
It does take an Army to make one of these race cars go, and from the support at home to the support of sponsors, it all is required to have a podium run at the runoffs. Well, what a race in E-Production. Tyler Ladd had to start in the second row. It was a bit of a strange getaway. Second row didn't start. Hainsworth got a great jump around the pole sitter Brackey to take the lead down into turn one, but once we got going, it was a fierce fight. Chris Haldeman rubbed up a little bit there by Brackey, took exception to that. Ladd around the outside into turn one to the lead of the race, in a lead he would not relinquish. Built a lead up to about a second and a half. It never got much bigger than that, but did appear to be in fairly firm control. Unfortunately, though, Cameron Wogren had something let go that brought out a full course yellow and meant this race ended behind the safety car. But for the second straight year, it was Tyler Ladd who takes the checkered flag first, a national champion for the second time over. Ainsworth and Bradshaw completes the top three. A thrilling E-production race here at Road America. The second of our national champions have been crowned, but a whole lot more still to come at the 62nd annual SCCA National Championship Runoffs presented by Sunoco.
Okay, so pretend this is your race car. It's on the trailer, and you have an accident. Ouch! At least your truck's insurance will pay for another one? Yeah, not so fast. Standard insurance won't replace your race car, whether it's in the trailer, in the paddock, in the garage, or the repair shop. But at Hagerty, we can protect it for what it's really worth anytime it's off the track. No matter what or where you race, all for less than a set of race tires. Hagerty, let's drive together.
Choose joy. Choose the road. Choose your people. Choose your shot. Take it. Choose to get in there. Even better, get out there. That's it. Way out there. Choose your calling. Choose to really care. Choose to go for it. Just choose. We craft cars for those who choose to do more than simply move.
I wake up.
Shopping for tires used to really grind my gears. So many tires, and the thought of choosing the right one made me, precisely. That's before I went to TireRack.com. I got the best deal hands down. My tires ship fast and free, arrive the next day like clockwork. Tire Rack even gave me 2 years of free road hazard protection. Precisely.
TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.